I was gonna do the deal. Is what when Ross put the MMG thing on the table.
Yeah. I got you.
That was just the terms and the way, you know, Ross set up the conversation to start in that building. It was a great opportunity. It was a great situation. I just had a concern with my team getting credit for breaking Nipsey Hussle. So I didn't necessarily want to take that from my team. You know what I'm saying? Everything he done said, he done every combo we had, every time I sent a verse, he executed it. So I got a lot of respect for Rose. So I'd have done it off just GP, but I got a team I committed to ahead of time.
Damn.
And I needed to make sure they got the credit for what they did. You know what I mean? That was the only reason. But outside of that, all the other deals, they lacked what the MMG offered, included because it was somebody that understood why Nipsey is valuable without a radio record.
No, I'm saying Lauren introduced me to Puff.
Oh, got you.
I mean, I knew Puff, but it was more of a personal relationship after, you know, we was at Cassie's birthday.
Nip had no ego. So, you know what I'm saying? Like Nip came to me and said, I want you to mentor me. You know, I want to get into real estate. I want you to teach me all your, you know what I mean, like your business secrets. You know what I'm saying? I was like, whenever you got questions, pull up. And then on his last album, people do not know this. Somebody tried to jerk me, but I fixed it. I actually am one of the executive producers of Nipsey Hussle's last album.
Victory Lap.
Yeah, Victory Lap.
So it turns out that Nipsey Hussle's rejection of Rick Ross' deal held deeper meaning, and right before he got taken out, he exposed everything. As y'all know, Nipsey Hussle didn't just rap, he built an empire with his own hands. The same independence that made him a legend is the very move that shook the industry. He turned down Rick Ross and MMG when the deal was right in front of him, and some say that decision cost him everything. Now, Nipsey wasn't waiting on no label to hand him a golden ticket. He was grinding from the dirt, flipping anything he had just to chase the dream. Dude sold his Lincoln, jewelry, even left the block to buy his own studio equipment. That's the type of sacrifice most rappers talk about but never really live. Nip wasn't just rhyming about hustle, he was the hustle.
Like I said, my goal was to create a situation where I could walk into one of these majors and operate as a partner.
Right.
And even since my early stuff, I never really was just an artist. I always bought my equipment. From day one, I sold my Lincoln, sold my Rolex, sold my jewelry, left my dope spot, turned it into a studio, bought equipment. My brother matched me, my homeboy bought my Lincoln from me, brought me a trash bag full of cash, bought my rims, my Alpinas. I sold all the things I was functioning off of, took all my money, and my brother matched me. And we went to Sam Ash and we bought all the equipment when I was 19, when I was 18 actually.
From day one, Nip saw himself as more than just an artist. He moved like a CEO, like a man who knew his worth before the world did. He built all money in with his own crew, putting sweat equity into every step. Posters on the streets, Nip paid for that. Radio spins, he and his team bought them slots themselves. And Nip made it clear he wasn't out here begging for handouts. He didn't want a record deal to feel put on. He wanted partnerships where he could walk into a major and call shots as an equal. Anything less was disrespect. In his own words, Nip said he had to raise his profile and his leverage until he could really justify what he was asking for.
So, you know, as I was educated in music, that's what the production company does. You know, that's what the label do. I was paying for rent. I was a hustler. I wasn't thinking I was the executive. I was just like, if I want to rap, I need a studio, I need equipment. I gotta. But we was making these moves already as a production company or as an executive or as a label to facilitate me as an artist. So the money was coming from my brother, from myself. The decisions was coming from my team, myself. The posters was being stapled up by us. You know, the radio promo, we was going up there and buying the radio spots. We was booking out the House of Blues. We was doing all the things that a label do. So once I got educated to the way that the deals get structured, it would be disrespectful for us to expect anything other than a partnership, because we've been had sweat equity, we've been had money invested.
Yes, sir.
We've been operating as not only the creative but also the administrative. So it would be against the grain of reality to go into a situation outside of that.
Labels like Def Jam, Capitol, even Atlantic at one point didn't see the value. They passed on him, but instead of folding, Nip doubled down on himself, building leverage until they had no choice but to respect him.
Atlantic, you already know they tradition. They make household names.
Yeah,
man. And they've been successful doing that for years.
But being so successful on your own.
Right.
That's why when I saw this announcement, I was like, man.
Yeah.
Like Nip didn't just walk in there.
Nah, we've been trying to land on the terms that we landed on for some years.
Yeah.
So it just was about me raising my leverage and my profile to where I could really justify what I was asking for.
Yeah.
And you know, I respect that. Like if I come in here and make a request, you gotta, and they, you know, the answer is like, you ain't worth that shit. You gotta go.
Yeah, you gotta go
for
get
that.
it.
It's possible, but you gotta work for
Sometimes
that.
you gotta show and tell people your worth too.
dope.
Yeah, Atlantic Pack, they passed on you earlier, right?
Yeah, I said Drake passed, Def Jam, Capital Atlantic too. Thought that I'd be dead at doing life because what I rap is true. So I was just talking about all the labels that I walked in them buildings and played music before I, you know, like I said, had value. And some of them felt it, some of them didn't get it, but I just was referencing taking those meetings and how that felt.
That's dangerous in this industry. The game is built on control. Labels want pawns, not kings. Nipsey refused to play by their rules. He wasn't just trying to rap, he was rewriting the playbook. And in an industry where independence is treated like rebellion, Nipsey was already putting a target on his back. Then Rick Ross came knocking with that Maybach Music Group offer. Most rappers would have jumped without thinking twice. MMG was hot, Ross had the industry respect, and signing under his wing meant an instant co-sign. But Nipsey wasn't most rappers. He sat down with Ross, chopped it up, and admitted straight up he respected Ross as a hustler. Said everything Ross promised, he delivered. Every verse Nip sent, Ross executed.
You know what I'm saying? Everything he done said, he done done. Every combo we had, every time I sent a verse, he executed it. So I got a lot of respect for Rose. So I'd have done it off just GP.
And Ross wasn't blind either. He saw Nipsey's value without the need for some radio-friendly hit. He recognized a street king in the making. That's why the deal made sense on paper. But Nipsey, he turned it down. Not because he didn't respect Ross, but because of something deeper, loyalty. See, Nip had a team who broke him, who invested, who pushed his name when the majors laughed. He wasn't about to let a big label snatch the credit that belonged to his people. In his own words, he didn't want to take that from my team, and that was the only reason he didn't take the MMG deal.
I was gonna do the deal. Is what when Ross put the MMG thing on the table.
Yeah, I got you.
That was just the terms and the way, you know, Ross set up the conversation to start in that building. It was a great opportunity. It was a great situation. I just had a concern with my team getting credit for breaking Nipsey Hussle. So I didn't necessarily want to take that from my team.
Damn.
I got a team I committed to ahead of time.
Damn.
And I needed to make sure they got the credit for what they did. You know what I mean? That was the only reason. But
Think about that. Most dudes would have signed just for the chain, the press run, the chance to stand next to Ross. But Nipsey doubled down on independence, betting on his own squad instead of chasing industry validation. And that move, it made Nip one of the rarest breeds in the rap game. Loyalty over fame, principle over paper. But let's be real, folks say Ross didn't take that rejection lightly. Some believe he felt disrespected. Nipsey admired him, no doubt, but he wouldn't fold. And since Ross was tight with Diddy, folks say the story didn't end there, because when Puff entered the picture, things started getting messy. Word is that rejection may have played a bigger role in what happened next. Now here's where things got even messier. The moment Lauren London introduced Nipsey to Diddy. At first, folks thought it was a blessing, Nip getting in the same rooms with a mogul like Puff. But with time, people started to look at it differently. Word on the street is that the introduction was the beginning of the end. Jaguar Wright said it plainly. Lauren introduced Nipsey to Diddy.
Hook up with the biggest rapper at the time. Everything's great. By the way, isn't she? Lauren is the one that introduced Nip to Diddy. Diddy couldn't even get to Nip, even though he had ties in L.A. It was Lauren that brought Nip to him.
And even Nipsey confirmed it on The Breakfast Club.
No, I'm saying Lauren introduced me to Puff.
Oh, got you.
I mean, I knew Puff, but it was more of a personal relationship after, you know, we was at Cassie's birthday.
So fans started asking the hard questions. Was Lauren really loyal to Nip, or was she playing both sides? The timeline looking real suspicious. For one, she admitted she went to a death seminar before Nipsey was killed, like she was prepping for loss before it even happened.
I went to a seminar about death.
Okay, you have to tell me. Well, you're
Oh my
just telling
God.
me this now.
I know, yeah.
Please share, please share. Why?
I have a friend.
Why were you there, and what did you learn?
I learned that no one really dies, and that, you know, it's just an experience in the physical form, and we're attached to our personalities, but that we're just souls, and that we continue and continue and continue. And if you have a spiritual relationship with someone on earth, you will have one with them when you leave earth. So I did this like 2-day seminar on death. So
And this was how long ago?
I had to be like 25.
What sent you there? Do you find that weird though?
I'm weird.
No, it's not weird that you would go. It's almost like you were preparing yourself for what you would have to
Well,
deal
I told
with.
you I didn't have such a connection to Earth at a young age.
I know, but you don't find that as like you were preparing yourself for what you were gonna have to deal with.
Well, that we're all gonna have to deal with.
And when Nip passed, it was Puff who stepped up, comforting her, telling her, "Look, Boog, you have shown everybody what it looks like to hold a man down and to love him. Now show them what it looks like when it all crumbles. That's your responsibility." Fans caught it real quick. Boog, the same nickname Nip used for her. That ain't just odd, but that's downright disrespectful. Folks began connecting the dots that Diddy might have deeper ties with Lauren. Old pics have resurfaced, showing Lauren and Diddy looking way too comfortable. Meanwhile, Nipsey's right there in the background, looking like the third wheel. Then there's Victory Lap, Nipsey's dream project. Matter of fact, Diddy helped with Victory Lap.
Nip had no ego. So, you know what I'm saying? Like Nip came to me and said, I want you to mentor me. You know, I want to get into real estate. I want you to teach me all your, you know what I mean, like your business secrets. You know what I'm saying? I was like, whenever you got questions, pull up. And then on his last album, people do not know this. Somebody tried to jerk me, but I fixed it. I actually am one of the executive producers of Nipsey Hussle's last album.
Victory Lap.
Yeah, Victory Lap.
But according to Gene Deal, Nip asked Diddy to help him shape the album like Biggie's Life After Death, which turned out to be a big mistake.
Now, you taking a spiritual person who's asking for something. He said, I wanted that same feel as Life After Death. That same feel was that Biggie got and he went on to sell about 10 million albums or 10 million copies. I was saying, you gotta watch what you say to demons because it just might come true.
Think about that. Biggie's classic dropped right after he was killed. Fans now see that as a chilling parallel. They say that Move let Puff get hooks in deep, pulling Nip into his orbit, even having him around the mansion more than the studio. To a lot of people, that was the setup. And here's where Ross slides back in. Remember, Ross and Puff were close. Folks speculate that when Nip turned down that MMG deal, Ross didn't forget. Combine that bruise to the ego with Puff's controlling ways, and you got a recipe for betrayal. Some folks believe Ross allegedly linked up with Puff behind the scenes. And here's the part nobody wants to admit. Nipsey was a rising threat. Too smart, too independent, too revolutionary. He didn't need gatekeepers. He was building his own empire brick by brick, showing the hood that you could own your master's business and still win. And the industry don't like kings, but pawns. And Nipsey wasn't moving like no pawn. So yeah, Eric Holder pulled the trigger. He's doing 60 years. But folks say he was just the fall guy, a pawn. The real chess players were in the background pulling strings, making sure Nipsey never reached the next level. One dude wrote, Nip was so focused with maintaining his persona, he didn't even see it coming. Another wrote, if Nipsey signed this deal, he would have been alive, but Nip wanted to be what he was destined to be. That's why he had to leave the deal and hold it down for his crew, and I respect that. While this other user wrote, the man said that he turned down a deal with MMG when he was relatively unknown, and the deal meant so much because he was concerned that his team wouldn't get the recognition that they deserved. Character. But what do y'all think? Did Nipsey's loyalty and independence put a target on his back? Was Lauren playing both sides? And was Diddy really pulling strings behind the scenes the whole time? Drop your thoughts in the comments, cause trust, this one's far from over. And if you're all in for raw truths and bold takes, hit that like, subscribe, and click on that next video popping on your screen now.